Hey, what's up, people? How's it going there? All right, let's put me in the year 2000. All right, now I'm out of Staten Island. I left Staten Island. I'm now living in a two-family house that I bought in Astoria, Queens. Now, when I was leaving Staten Island, my friend Kaba had passed away. He was an old man. He was African, from Africa. I had a lot of schemes going with him. He was the main reason I was in Staten Island. And what happens is, pretty much died of natural causes. He was an old man. He was in his 80s, possibly even 90. No, I did several different things with him. There was a big war going on in Africa at one point. If you look right here, actually, above me, I'll zoom the camera up there. Let me just see if I can do it real quick. See that? Let me see if I can get right up on it. African art. Anyway, what this guy would do is, he had family in Africa. A lot of this came out during the making of that movie, the Congo or Gorillas in the Mist or some shit like that. But yeah, pretty much what he did is he had family that was still down there. It was war torn. They were chopping people's fucking hands off, all types of shit. It was like a genocide. So his family actually worked in a museum, a relative of his family. So they would stamp, the place was getting looted and raided and everything was just destroyed. Google it. I don't really remember which faction it was, if it was the Mobutu or what. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the Mobutu, but I think like some Idi Amin shit was breaking out down there. And it was, the whole place was in complete war. So anyway, his family worked in a museum. And what they were doing is taking stuff from the museum, they would put some sap on it, and a little sawdust and shit. Then they put a sticker on it, saying that it's tourist junk. You know, like before you bring an artifact out of Africa, they have to inspect it and make sure that you're not stealing some priceless piece of art. So that's what they would do. But these guys would stamp it pretty much as tourist junk. They'd fill it up in crates, mail it out to my man Kaba. Kaba lived right next door to me, in the building right next to me. Now, I've known Kaba for many years. What happens is he was married to an Irish woman. Back then she was probably 50. They actually met through me. And originally it was for immigration purposes. They got married and they actually fell in love. And they lived together for like 20, 30 something years. Now, when Kaba died, his younger brother, who's the next in line, some kind of ritual or something where this guy comes in from Africa, was pretty much saying that this woman that was married to Kaba, who was now widowed, Kaba's dead, is now his wife. So I don't really remember what the fuck happened to that. I told her I'll take care of it, don't worry about it, this, that. But I got the fuck out of there. I don't know whatever happened, if she ever actually went with him to Africa or what. But yeah, she was bugging on that shit, I remember. Also, what Kaba would do is, in Staten Island, you have this thing called college. It's called the Staten Island University College. It's on Willowbrook campus. Willowbrook was the mental institution that Geraldo Rivera had shut down. He was an investigative reporter. He went in there as a mentally ill human being, and he exposed all this crazy shit that was going on. Women patients that had been there for years wind up being pregnant and then getting abortions, and all types of crazy shit was going on in that fucking place, that insane asylum. So anyway, it turned into a campus for a college after it got shut down. Now, if anyone knows about colleges or have been to colleges, colleges have this deal with these credit card companies and banks, where the credit card companies actually go on the college campus and offer students that are like freshmen and shit like that, they're staying in the dorms, credit cards. Because they figure, yeah, these kids, they need computers, they need this, they need that, they're away from their mom, they're away from their dad. They'll probably do some frivolous spending. Now, the banks know all this shit. The banks know that these people are going to wind up defaulting it one way or another, but they're going to wind up owing this money for the rest of their fucking lives. Anyone that knows about college and how the credit card companies stalk college students. So that's why I do not feel bad about what went down. Anyway, Kaba had these guys coming in from Africa. Now they would go on a student visa. They would get into Africa. In Africa, they say, yo, I want to go to America. I want to learn engineering. I want to learn biophysics or whatever. They sign up a course. They go to Staten Island Community College. That was the college that I was mainly involved with. All the other colleges, I mean, this guy was doing this shit to every college you could think of, and probably in New York and other states even. But what they would do is, these African dudes would go to college from Africa on a student visa, that they are going to learn a trade or a career or whatever you want to call it in America in one of these colleges. So the immigration says, okay, here you go. Go to school. You cannot work. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can only, certain guidelines. Now what these guys would do is they get student immigration card for student visa. They'd come into America. They'd go to Staten Island. There's a huge African community in Staten Island. Very big. A lot of African dudes live in Staten Island. So what they would do is they'd enroll in the college, and then the credit card companies would come up to them. Say, would you like a credit, this, that? So then they're like, well, okay, sure, why not? They sign all this shit. They get like up to $25,000. And they bounce. Or they just go back to their country. And they got enough money to live like the rest of their life. Or they would just dodge it. 7 years. They have 7 years to collect that money or get in touch with you. If not, after that, something to that effect, it's statute of limitations. You don't have to pay it. So, yeah, he was doing that stuff. We were doing all types of crazy shit out there. There was a lot of money in that. And so I left all that behind. And I was now living in Queens. Like I said, I don't know whatever happened to Kaba's wife. Last I heard, Kaba's little brother was saying that she's now married to him. And he is allowed to do what he wants with her. And he wants to take her back to Africa to live happily ever after. With his 3 or 4 other wives. This guy's got like 3 or 4 other wives. See, now that's something interesting too. Just as long as you could take care of your wife, you could marry as many wives as you want. That's pretty cool shit. But imagine all the nightmares with that shit, man. Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty much the deal with there. So at this point, I'm living in Astoria, Queens. And I'm writing graffiti, still with Skay. I'm still doing big fill-ins with him. And I'm still going out with Just, but we kind of took a couple of weeks off. And then I came to terms with it that, yo, I got my tickets. I'm going to Jamaica, the West Indies. I was really just sticking around to place my money in certain areas so it could grow while I'm away, rather than just leaving it sit there and living off it and spending. I mean, I also have a daytime job as well. But what happens is, I spread my money out, gain interest to stamp, buy a house. I put Chocks in the house. Now, Chocks is a graffiti writer from my old neighborhood, the Upper East Side, where I'm standing right now. Chocks, his name was Angelo. It was spelled C-H-A-X. Good friend of mine. He was down with B-Y-G, Bust Your Grill, Booze Young Gangsters. Boo, it's a whole other story. A big dude, man. Boo ain't take no shit. I don't know what his story is right now, and even if I did, I wouldn't speak on it. But, yeah. So I got all that stuff patched up. And I also did behind the heliport. Somewhere around that period of time. I remember because I had a bunch of white paint left over. Like if I walking around in the streets of New York City, especially Manhattan on the Upper East Side, you find a lot of weird shit in the garbage. Paint is one thing I won't pass. If I see a bucket of paint, I'll pick it up and shake it. If that thing feels full, I'll hide it and I'll come back for it later. If I'm on my way home, I'll just take it home. Anyway, the paint I will take. So I got a bunch of this paint. I did one big paint roller in Staten Island, facing the highway. Got buffed really quick, like 2 weeks later. I've took a bunch of the rest of the paint, and I went down to heliport and redid that big ass RD, which I'll show pictures of it. I believe that's third time I did it? Yeah. So anyway, I do that. I hop on a plane. I go down to Jamaica. Now, I land in Jamaica. I'm with Rum. Now, Rum is already plugged in with the Jamaicans very well. Rum actually is disguised as a man who is playing golf. Now, this is before, this is actually after 9/11, and Rum looks like a Middle Eastern man. You know, he looks like someone that you would check. You would think, wait a minute, this guy might possibly be a terrorist. Yeah, he would have a golf bag with golf clubs in it. And inside the bag, filled with golf clubs, it would also be filled with bootleg watches, like Rolex. And you'd buy these in the garment district. They're real cheap, fake gold watches. But the Jamaicans love that shit. Even if it turns green a week later, they don't care. They love it. So he had his whole big thing. This was something he had planned with someone else in Jamaica. And I was like, yo, I'm on my way down anyway. So we went down together. And I got stopped. I got grabbed and I got arrested. Rum got cleaned right through. They didn't even stop Rum at all. Rum had his thing. Boom, boom, boom. Me, I get there. They say I had a warrant for my arrest. Now, this is in Montego Bay, Jamaica, the airport. So a warrant, I'm thinking, fuck, man, this graffiti shit, these motherfuckers, like, why didn't they do this shit to me in John F. Kennedy Airport? You know what I mean? Like, why didn't you fuck with me when I was in fucking America, yo? You know, like, put me in the tombs and shit. But you gonna wait till I take a plane and go down to fucking Jamaica, the West Indies. I get off the fucking plane, sweating with my man Rum here about his fucking deal he's got going on. And you're gonna grab me on some bullshit warrant. That's what I'm thinking. So they put me in this room. It's probably about the size of a cafeteria in a public school. A big, big room. Now, in this room, it's hot as fuck. Anyone could imagine, or if anyone's ever been down to Jamaica, man. It's like the song says, it's 98 degrees in the shade, yo. Hot as fuck. No windows, because it's pretty much where they keep people. You have a window, motherfuckers are going to be climbing out of it. The only source of ventilation in that place was a ceiling fan. Now, this ceiling fan had one spoke on it. And it would go like this. This is how slow that shit would move. Like, yo, it just, you know how it would be like a propeller. It would have like 3 or 4 spokes. It had one fucking spoke on it. It would move like this. It was like, yo, the place just stunk and smelled like body odor, man. Real bad. So I was in that shit for about 2 or 3 days. I noticed everyone came and went. I'm the only one still there. I'm like, yo, all these people that came in and got arrested when I got arrested, they're all gone already. Whether they went to prison or they were released, they got their freedom or whatever. But I'm still sitting there. I've seen this happen like 2 or 3 times. And finally, I was sitting near the door. And next time they open that door, I'm like, yo, my man, come on, man. You know, hey, man, we're going to soon come. We'll soon come. You know, this time I got to call some number to say. He's like, 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 6, 6, 6. So I'm like, fuck, man. He's like, what's your number? I don't got no fucking number. My name is Robert Dyer, man. D-Y-E-R. He's like, man, you should have been out of here 2 fucking days ago, man. This and that. Come with me. He brings me out. And I go before this weird shit. They actually still wear them white wigs down there. And standing there, figuring it's some bullshit about graffiti. They're going to stick me on a fucking plane and come back. But that's not what it was. It winded up being, when I was with that girl, Erica, who was when I was in Astoria, Queens, living there, they had the fireworks display on the East River. Now, I was living in Queens, so me and about 10 of friends of hers, and a few people I knew, we go, Chris Riggs was there. Chris Riggs for mayor, if anyone's familiar with that artist. Chris Riggs. That's Yes's older brother. No, younger brother. Anyway, yeah, he was with me. Big, tall, goofy looking dude with blonde hair. And we all, including maybe 50, 60 other people, a lot of people from Queensbridge houses was hanging out. I know a lot of people from Queensbridge, those projects there, were hanging out there. What it winded up being is to watch the fireworks display right after the Queensboro Bridge on the Queens side. You have a big, huge salt hill. Now, the salt hill is wide open. It doesn't even have a fence around or anything. But for us to view the fireworks, and I swear there was like 60-something people there. for us to view the fireworks, we all went in and was standing on top of this salt hill. Now this salt hill, you know, like salt, pepper and salt, they make these hills because in the winter they use that salt, the sanitation department, to cover the snow, and it helps melt the snow so cars could travel on the streets during snowstorms. They store it there. So we're on top of the snow hill and a bunch of fucking, salt hill, a bunch of fucking cops come. It's on the 4th of July, the fireworks display and shit, you know. People even had chairs and fucking radios playing music that was in sync with the fireworks display. And people are drinking and shit. I don't drink. I'm just standing there. So I got a summons that day. Now, I went all the way out to Queens. All the way out, man, like Linden Boulevard or something where their fucking court system is. I paid the money. It was like $50, $75 or something like that. I paid them. And okay, thank you, this, that. Apparently, you know, the date I was supposed to go, I went to the window, paid them straight up, and I left. Now, apparently, I was supposed to come back to court another day to, I don't know. They didn't tell me that. I received no paperwork and nothing. So I never went back to court. Even though I paid everything and I said, okay, you know, I explained to them in the court that this place where I was viewing the fireworks display is equivalent to me standing in this, because in front of that court system out in Queens, it's got grass. I was like, it's equivalent to me standing on that grass watching the fireworks display. Like, I really don't see it, but I mean, here, take my money, you know, whatever. And, yeah, so apparently I never went back to court for that. So that popped up as a warrant when I was down in Jamaica, the West Indies. Says, oh, this happened, blah, blah, blah. When you get back to America, figure the shit out or something like that. So then I got released from that. At this point, the people that were waiting for me, with rum and everything, they're gone. You know, like that. What, 3 days later, like they're not still going to be waiting in the fucking airport for me, you know. So I made my way from Montego Bay all the way down in the Grill. And I met back up with rum and everyone down there. And, yeah, that's pretty much me landing in Jamaica. It was a hassle, it was a nightmare, a little bit worrisome, but it worked out. I mean, I got through and everything. That shit wasn't fun sitting in that fucking room, man, I'll tell you that much. Like waiting to be called and go before the court. Yeah, that shit was crazy. Other than that, I mean, you had all types of people in that fucking room, man. If you did something wrong, they'd throw you in there. Well, there was one guy, or a group of people actually, they had a baby that was dead, and they stuffed the baby full of drugs or some shit. But they were on a different flight leaving Jamaica to come out, because Jamaica is actually a big, like, hub for drug trafficking. You know what I mean? Like, you could get shit there safely because it's easy to pay off that government. And you could start to shift shit off that island to America, to here, to Mexico, to this, to that. You know what I'm saying? You could pretty much shoot your drugs out to wherever the fuck you want. Now, a lot of cocaine, man. A lot of fucking cocaine, man. They were trading a lot of cocaine for fucking marijuana with the Colombians, the Dominicans later on. But yeah, a lot of fucking cocaine out there, man. A lot of cocaine, a lot of mushrooms, a lot of fucking marijuana. I wasn't big on the marijuana. I'm not going to lie to you. The marijuana down there wasn't as good as you would think. You hear all this shit about Jamaica and this and that. And it's not that I didn't get the virgin shit, you know. So, yeah, I was getting good weed, but it would have seeds and stuff in it. And the reason for that, everything's grown outdoors. There is no hydroponic systems. Everything is grown outdoors in Jamaica. Now, Jamaica's not a big island. It's a small island in comparison to other countries and shit. And what happens is one whole area of that island, it's like a couple of acres, maybe a few miles, where it's actually just a marijuana growing, but they only grow the male plants. They grow these male plants to make a material called hemp. Now this hemp material, they use this shit to make sails for sailboats. They make clothing out of it, book bags, everything. So now these male plants are all throughout the place. They're not allowed to grow female plants because female plants got the THC in them that'll get you high. But one male plant could pollinate a female plant from miles away. Like, so Any female plant on that island gets fucked up just because of all those male plants. Then you also got to realize someone rolls a joint on the side of the road, they lick it, a couple of seeds pop out, fall on the floor, another male plant grows. So all their fucking weed down there is tainted by male plants. It's all got seeds in it. And some of it's got good, it'll knock you on your ass. But I mean, I very seldom bumped into real good green, like limey shit with like red hairs and purple and shit like that. Very seldom I saw anything. Most of the stuff down there was pretty like brown, like a Buddha tie or something like that. Real, it'll knock you, you know, it's got THC in it, it's strong shit. But I mean, everyone thinks, oh wow, Jamaica and this and that, but nah, it's not the case. It's just too many male plants down there. There's everything, it's just tainted. All the female plants get tainted. Like it'd be a miracle if you got one bud of weed, broke it up and didn't find a seed in it. It would honestly be a miracle. So anyway, yeah, enough about that. Now I want to get into, actually, I got to take a shit. So hold on a minute, all right? People, that's funny, but yeah, I got to take a shit. I'm over here drinking a coffee. I just got home from work and I got to take a shit. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that, people. I'm back. Now, I don't remember what I was talking about, and I know Jamaica, this, that, blah, 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 blah. Let me get into this question. This guy, Young Iz, asked me. Young Iz, Y-O-U-N-G-I-Z-Z. Right? Yeah, I-Z-Z. He wants to know about how do you develop a style. Now, I'm assuming you're talking about pieces and burners and wild style stuff. I'm probably not the person to ask about that. What I pretty much did was, I did shit at such a large scale, I would use fat caps for my outlines. And I have several hand injuries also. Most mainly a dog bite from a pit bull. Tore up a lot of shit, a lot of nerve damage. I got no feeling in the tip of this finger at all. I could squeeze it with a vice grip, won't feel. My middle finger don't go down all the way. So my hand's a little fucked up. I try to stay away from real technical shit. But, you see this can of spray paint? Now, when I'm pushing down on it, I don't feel it. I don't feel I'm pushing down on it. I don't know when my finger's actually up or down on it. So I have to watch it. And when I come to the end of that line, that's when I know to release my finger. So yeah, and if I use my middle finger, it's stubborn. It doesn't, it's stiff, the mobility. So there's that. But that, and even before that accident, I still never really did pieces like that. It's never really my interest. But what I would suggest you do is Google it. Look on YouTube, you'll see how people use cans of paint. You want to learn how to use the tools of the trade. You want to get all the little tricks and stuff like that down. You want to master using a can of spray paint. Understanding the caps, the flow, the pressure of it, all that shit comes easy. Just get together with like-minded people, a couple of your friends and stuff, and take the journey together. You'll learn. You'll figure it out. Watch a lot of YouTube and just practice, practice, practice. When you're done practicing, practice some more. And practice, 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 practice. Google it. Do a lot of research. You're only as good as your fucking reference photos and shit like that. You know, so reference is very important. If there is someone out there that's doing something that you feel you would like to do, and you see them on Instagram or YouTube, send them a message. I know, believe me, I know a lot of these people are assholes. They think their shit don't stink. A lot of people got attitudes and stuff. But if they do, if you send them a message and they don't respond to you, or if they act like an asshole, then fuck them. Maybe they weren't what you thought they were. Obviously, they're just full of themselves. But you could still learn just the techniques, the use of a can of spray paint from all different things. You got this one girl, Mad C. She does some real nice shit, man. I like watching her stuff. She does some pretty interesting shit. Like I could sit there smoking weed and just watch her paint. Very good shit. I believe she's from Germany. Yeah, you also got another bunch of assholes out there too that are just full of shit. Like they lie about everything. Like I mean, I don't even know what country you're from there. Young is, or if you're from New York, or if you're from wherever in the world. Whoever you see that you like, follow them. Try and duplicate it. And fuck all that shit about stealing and biting and stuff like that. You know, that shit might have flew in the 70s. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, if you wouldn't, like, be the, like, think about it. Like, the first person to do 3D on a piece. What, everyone after that is biting? You know, the first person to do an arrow and this and that, and blah, 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 blah. A character for a letter. What, everyone else that does that, they're biting? I mean, I think it's just evolving, personally. But, yeah, I've been down that road, man, called a thief and shit. And I'm like, yeah, of course I'm a thief. You know, like with the whole fire hydrant thing. You know, me writing on the fire hydrants. This guy sent for it. Thief, this, that. I'm like, yeah, everyone knows I'm a fucking thief. Everyone knows two things about me. I'm a white boy and I'm a thief. Oh, yeah. That's my personal opinion. I wouldn't put too much into all that shit. What I would do is try and get my shit tight before I bring it out into the public. Or, I don't know, your situation, or if you actually have a spot that you can paint and stuff like that. Or if not, just go out, balls out. Fuck everyone, just do you. You know? But as far as it goes with developing a style, I believe once you master the use of a can of spray paint, at that point your style will come. You know, like, look at people that you like, and like I said, once you're exposed to something, or you look at something, you can't unlook at it. It's in your brain. It's already been processed and stored. So it's going to come out in your work, or maybe it won't come out in your work. But what I got to say is just fill your head with knowledge. And a lot of people say, oh, you got to learn about the old school, this, that, and respect it, and this and that. I don't know if that's necessarily true anymore. Like, compared to what I'm talking about in my past videos, it was a different game than what's going on now. Now it's like a replica. It's like not what we were doing. You know what I'm saying? So it's only evolving and getting different. 99.9.9.9% of the people that write graffiti nowadays, they're actually kind of like yuppie-ish, or good kids, good people. I don't know, the age limit has changed too. When we started out, we were very young. Now people are starting in their 20s and 30s and stuff, so I don't know. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about what other people think or say. You're doing it to please yourself, and you will get your own uniqueness. Just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, practicing it on paper, Googling, looking, reference photos, research, all that. Just absorb as much as you possibly can, and then you learn everything that's shown to you, and then use what you feel you need to use at that moment that you're executing that particular project. You know, I mean, sometimes you use one thing that you won't use the next time, you know. And you'll get good at it. You'll get good at it. I guess you have shine lines and shit like that. I use shine lines to hide mistakes. You know, so does everyone else. I'll do a big fucking star. I always do it right after my R, the hoops down, because sometimes it goes zip, it turns in a little too much here compared to here. So just throw a fucking shine line there. You know, there's ways to cover up mistakes, but you know, like Bob Ross would say, happy mistakes and shit. Sometimes those are what actually winds up making the piece. That's why I'm really against like people that use stencils and projectors and light boxes and all types of crazy shit. Yeah, I'm against that. I believe you look and paint, look and you know, that's my style. But then again, I'm not even talking about graffiti. I'm just talking about art, the shit that I do. That's about all I could say as far as it goes with doing pieces, burners, and wild style, because it's really never been me. Now, if you're talking about doing tags, that's something I could probably tell you a thing or two about. I would learn, if we're talking about tags, let me see if I can do a tag for you. All right. A tag, like this. All right. That's a tag, RD. Right? Now, to get your tag down, first off, I would do something that I'm happy with. Preferably connectable, because every time you lift the cap like this, and you write and then you got to lift it and go, and that takes time. If you're going all in one stroke, it's faster. My personal opinion. I actually started out doing it just one stroke, the whole tag, and as time went by, now I actually do 3 strokes for my R, 3 strokes for my D. 1, 2, 3. That's the R. Now the D. 1, 2, 3. You got me? Cadence. I'd worry about cadence, flow. Copying it exactly, duplicating it exactly the same way, like a logo, a stamp. Poof, poof, poof. You want to get that down. And once you get that down, you want to start working on speed. You want to be able to do it fast, because obviously you want to be able to write graffiti fast, so you're not there all day getting arrested. You want to be able to do your tag fast. I'd start going fast, fast, faster, and faster, and faster, and faster. Once you can do it real fast, and exactly the same, then I would turn around and start to do it without looking. I would get muscle memory down. In other words, me, I could do a tag like this while I'm looking around. I don't even have to look at the wall here. It's another reason why I went over a lot of people. But yeah, learn, try to get it so you don't have to look at it when you're doing your tag, you know? That's what you want to work on. Muscle memory, that helps. Especially if you're writing by yourself. That helps. But I'm not going to lie to you, and even if I have someone that's a lookout, and I stick with one person all the time. R.E., I wrote with him for like 12 years straight, and never messed with no one else but R.E. Unless I was doing a big blockbuster or something like that, and I would go with this guy's soul. But before him, I would go with Justin, doing tags. But they would be looking out for me, but I would also still look out for me. You got me? So while they're looking out, I'm looking out, you know? And it's just better. You got more eyes, the better. I don't like to go with more than 2 people. I don't suggest you do it either, because then too much camaraderie starts taking place. People say, oh, before you know it, you're arrested, you know? Like mob mentality kicks in. People start taking risks that they shouldn't, stuff like that. You got to remember, if we're talking about streets, streets aren't going nowhere. And subways do. So subway's a different story. Some ways you could go in there with people. I, once again, prefer to go by myself. But, yeah, in the street, you don't want like a whole mob. You don't want to stick out. You don't even want to be seen. You kind of just want to move in the shadows like just a normal Joe. You know what I'm saying? You want to dress normal. You don't want to stand out. You don't want to look flashy. You don't want to be identified. You don't want to be identifiable. You pretty much just want to blend in with everything and the flow of things. You don't want to dress like a gangster. You don't want to dress like some fucking hip-hop star or something. You don't want to walk around like fucking 50 Cent or something like that, or 6ix9ine or something like, oh, what up, dog, and this and that, wearing all this shit. And you don't want to draw attention to yourself at all. You want to move in the shadows. And you want to learn the streets. You know, learn how things work. Figure out when the cops switch shifts, when the cops work, you know, where they patrol more than others, stuff like that, you know. And, yeah, I guess that's about all I can tell you with streets, except for the most important thing, if you get caught, you keep your mouth shut. And be careful who you hang out with, man, because that could fuck your whole shit up too, man. Like, I knew some real good dudes, or good crews, like amazing crews that I was actually down with. Then they threw down some assholes that I'm like, oh man, I'll never write. And I don't push any other crew except for 357 anyway. But actually, Wild Style, I push. 357, that's about it. I pushed Wild Style a few times. Other than that, 357. I don't write no other crew. That's another thing. I don't like people that hit up 1,000 fucking crews, because it shows they got no loyalty to any of them. It's just me they're thinking of. I look at this, all these people, all these crews that I'm involved with. You get me? Like, I don't know, that's bullshit, because that's the first motherfucker that's going to rat on you. That's the first motherfucker that thinks about himself before the whole group, man. Believe me, that's the weak link. The motherfucker that pushes 100 fucking crews is the weak fucking link. Believe you me, because he's trying to show off in the streets. I know who I know They know I know them, and we all got love. I don't got to write it every time and run around and say I'm down with this one, and now I'm down with that one, and this and that, and blah, 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 you know? That's stupid shit, man. I don't know. That shit never really flied back then. It's almost like a motorcycle gang. You get me? Like, what are you going to do? Be a Hell's Angel and a fucking mongrel? You know, they got beef with each other or something. You follow me, right? Like, it don't work that way. It's like, no, you can't. It's, you pick one and you stick to it. Yeah, you know, and you go hard body. Like they say, you take that ride, you know? Yeah, that's the way it's working. What else can I say about that? I don't know. I don't even know if crews are a thing anymore. I don't know. I think everyone's all into their individuality now. In my day, you kind of needed crews. You needed someone, you know? You needed something. You couldn't... Well, there's a few people out there that pulled it off, but I don't know. That's my personal opinion. I'd also, while looking into these people's things and reading, I really take a lot of that as a grain of salt, because truthfully, a lot of that shit's bullshit. I look at some of these guys, man, they're saying and you know, they have their birth date there, you know, and I'm like, I'm looking at their birth date. Now, me, I was born in 68, you get me? Now, there's one dude, I forget what it was, I was 68, he was born in 74, but he's talking about in 82, he was hitting the, this, that, but you never saw him up back then. Like, the dude didn't pop up. He's in the FX crew. FX, you know, FX crew. And yeah, I read all this shit. I'm like, get the fuck out of here with that shit. There's a bunch of people out there that do that shit, man. I'm like, yo, you were like 3 years old? Like, come on, man. Like, what, you were in a stroller? Like, I don't get it. Like, how'd that work? Yeah, weird shit, man. Yeah, do the math. You gotta realize, I came out, there was another generation, 2 generations after me. Yeah. When I came out, then you had another generation. Then you had the generation that was just tapping the trains as they were going out of service and getting new ones pulled in. You had that group of people, you know. So I saw about 2 or 3 groups come after me, you know, like behind me. Like when I went on, I was the youngin'. And then groups came in after me, you know, and their dates of birth are younger than mine. You know, they go back to like 70, I think, probably. Anyone that starts talking shit about riding on trains and they were born in like mid-70s, they're full of shit. Like, honestly, I'm sorry. It's just the truth. Like, let's be real. Like, how old were you when you were doing this shit? Like, I mean, not even talking about parenting and shit like that, but honestly, like, things become logically, like, clear, you know? But, yeah, I could get into that, but then again, I look at it like, what the fuck is that my business? Like, why do I gotta blow someone else up, you know? They're not bothering me, you know? So, I don't know if I'm actually gonna approach that. But I'm definitely gonna approach the I'm definitely gonna start breaking down people that are making big money off this shit. You know, and they're claiming all this and they're claiming all that, and not. Like I said, I told you the people that wrote the fucking graffiti. There's no one else that could have done what they've done in that period of time. And after, because it's just not like that no more. You can't. It's just physically impossible. The shit don't last on the walls. You got cameras. You don't even have as many gates anymore. It's a whole different fucking ballgame out there. And, like, I don't even think... I heard, like, after my last war with, like, Bet, TFV, and Scuff, he came back out at me. I'm not even up to that. Right now I'm in Jamaica. But, yeah, when them dudes came out, that was a fucking heavy war, man. That's why I say Scuff has definitely put more damage on me than J.A. By far, by far, by far, by far. I've only had problems with J.A. and up until, like, the late 80s. Maybe, like, I don't know, 87, 80, something like that, to like 89. 90, I was out living in the Bronx, married, I got divorced, I never heard from the guy again. That's my personal opinion. I mean, people could say what they want, but that's the truth. That's what happened to me, Robert Dyer. I mean, he did come out one more time when I did that rooftop. He came from California or wherever the fuck, and he crossed out this thing I did on a bridge. I didn't even give a fuck, you know. I could have fixed it. I said, why bother? I was upset that they crossed out Barron because it was shortly around his death and stuff like that. But it is what it is. It shit happens, you know. Nothing lasts forever. But other than that, yeah. Scuff now, that dude, like, we were out there. Like, that dude was like smashing like hundreds of my tags, like, yeah, because I was up so much. And in 2007, he came back out because I came back out. Maybe even 2006, but it reached, maybe 2005, but it reached its peak at about 2007. That's when it was really, really like up there, like, yo, this dude's fucking me up, man. You know, yeah. Bet, mainly Bet, yeah, Bet. But Scuff, you know, it was the whole thing. Scuff, Naisha, Bet, you had a bunch of other people in this and that, you know. And, yeah, I'll get into that later. But, yeah, let's wrap it up around there. Now, I want to put some pictures on of this heliport thing, because I did that 3 times. One of the last times, it was like before I went to Jamaica, I had a bunch of white paint laying around my house paint and stuff like that. So I did it one last time, but I want to show you the pictures. You're going to look at them after this. And you look at, I'll circle me, how small I am next to this fucking thing, to show you how big it's 3 stories tall. It's like a city block long, you know. Big fucking thing. Illegally. And it was done in Midtown Manhattan. Like right smack dab Midtown Manhattan. Like the busiest place on the face of this fucking earth back then. I don't know, maybe Hong Kong or something like that. And, you know, you got places that are busy, but it's very impressive to pull off something like that in Midtown Manhattan. Extremely impressive. Yeah. I'm going to put them pictures on, you'll see them. And I kind of broke it down. I went 3 times. All 3 times Mike 173 was with me, Mike Kirchhoff. The last 2 times also, my brother was with me. The very last time, Lace was with me. Each time I did it, I had about 5 or 6 people with me. And it would take about 3 days. The first time I did it, it took me 3 days to do it. The other times it didn't take that long because I already had the outline on the wall. And even though people crossed it out, they couldn't really fuck with the shit up top because it's so big. They only fucked up the bottom of it, and I could see how to fix the bottom. I didn't have to use ladders and shit like that, or tie myself from a rope and hang down and none of that bullshit. That's what I did. I actually used this. This is actually the same belt, too. I had this same fucking belt around my waist, like this. And I would have a yellow acrylic rope. You know the yellow acrylic rope they use in construction sites? Hold on 1 second. I'll actually get some yellow acrylic rope. Yeah, this is just my jump rope spoil. I have a bunch of jump ropes. I like to jump rope. But anyway, this is the yellow type of rope I'm talking about here. Loop it through here, like that. It's strong as fuck. Now hold me up, swing me down from up above. Now you see in these pictures, you'll see me up above, how small I am. And yeah, I did that. First time it was tricky because I had to keep going across the highway because it's on the river. I would run across the FDR Drive. I would run up to York Avenue, and then from York Avenue I'd run up to First Avenue. Then from First Avenue I'd get on the Queensboro Bridge. Then I'd run all the way over the bridge until I'm over the East River and looking at the RD that I did. Then I'll look at it and I'll say, is the R and the D and this, that, is it in proportion? Does the leg that come out of the R look good? Everything the same thickness? Is the hole in my letters straight and in the middle where it should be? Figured out all that shit, and then I run back down the bridge to First Avenue. From First Avenue I go back to York Avenue. York Avenue, I go down onto the FDR Drive, run across the highway, climb over a fence, and start painting some more. I had to do this shit like 6 or 7 times the first night. And we got there late, too. Got there about 3:30 in the morning, because this is the first time. The top was actually like a house. This is on the Pan Am, the heliport. If you ever watch Scarface, when he's on the phone, he's going to blow the guy up in the car, and it's going to throw a speech at the UN building and stuff like that. Same place, same building, same everything. You can get a perfect picture if you look at that scene from Scarface. He's on the payphone. Anyway, that whole wall I did. City block. It goes from 60th Street to 61st Street. One city block goes up real high. That's what I did. Now, the first time I did it, I had this huge fucking ladder. I don't remember, I think we stole the ladder from the tramway. They were fixing the tramway. They had this big, huge fucking ladder. So the first time we were going back there, this ladder was big. It was like 20-something, 30-something feet, you know, a big fucking ladder. Like it took 3 of us to carry it. Like if I'm here crossing the FDR Drive, I'm going past the uptown traffic while the other dude's still all the way over there. Like the shit is almost the whole length of the uptown traffic, this ladder. And then we cross and cross the downtown traffic, you know. So yeah, it was a big fucking ladder and a lot of fucking buckets of paint. Big 5-gallon buckets of white paint. Stole all the paint. And black spray paint for the outline, and then I had black paint for some of the 3D, which was 2 black gallons, 2 individual, like this, of black. And I had about 10 cans of black spray paint, Rust-Oleum flat black, or semi-flat black. That's what I used. So the first night I went there, I had to sketch out my outline. And I got there at about 3:30, after carrying all that shit, all the paint and this and that, and ladders and stuff back there, and actually sketching out my outline. By the time I was done, the sun was up. So at this point, I had my outline completely sketched down the first night. Now, once I had the outline sketched out, Mike Kershaw from Mike 173, John was there, JJ, D3 might have been there, and Frankie Gator. They were all working on the bottom of my letters, painting it in already, you know, with rollers and shit like that, while I was figuring out the math, the outline on the top of it. So I'd say we got maybe 1/8 of it painted, and the whole thing sketched out there the first time. So then, the second night, we just painted the whole thing. Got it all down. Third night, I pretty much just touched it up. I'd look at it in the daytime. I'd look what looks weaker, what looks stronger. Hey, puppy, you want to come in? Okay, you go bed. Go. Yeah, that's my dog. Yeah, so the third night, and even the fourth night, because I decided I wanted to put cracks in the fucking thing. But what happens is the third night, make sure everything is tight. When it's all filled in thick and the same everywhere. The outline's on there, nothing looks fucked up on it, everything's in proportion, it's where it should be. Then the third night, or the fourth night, I go and I decide I want to do cracks in it. So I do a bunch of these cracks in it. Now I run across the highway, I run up to York Avenue, I go up to First Avenue, I go run across the bridge, I get over the East River, and I look at it and I say, I don't like the cracks, they look stupid. They don't, it's actually taking from it saying RD. It's like, what the fuck? Like from far away, it obscures your view of it saying RD. It looks like there's something else going on there. So I went back down, got rid of the cracks with the roller and the white paint. Got rid of the cracks. Then the fourth night, I went by with a bunch of scraps. I'm talking like 20, 30 something cans of different colors. Krylon, Rust-Oleum, Red Devil, all types of little bits and pieces and little specks of spray paint. And I just ran up, did a bunch of bubbles in it, climbed up the ladder, did this, did that. And then after it, I did a 357. Now, the 357 is probably as tall as this wall. That was only about 10 feet. As I believe I was standing on a wire garbage can that I threw over from the top of the place, landed down there. So I stood on that garbage can, and I did that. 357, and that was done with gray paint filled in a black outline with white shines on it. That was that time I did it, the very first time. Now after I got that down, it got crossed out. Chino, JA, Trim TNC, Date TNC, a bunch of people, man. OD, BTS, a bunch of fucking people. Like 20, 30 people from Brooklyn just went there and crossed that shit out. That was the first time I did it. I mean, it was there for about 2 years before they crossed it out. 2.5, 3 years maybe. And they crossed it out, and I waited. I did it 3 times. I did that spot 3 times in about 11 to 12 years. So I left it there crossed out for a while. And I came across a bunch more paint I found in the garbage. Like some of these buildings in this Upper East Side are 30, 40 something stories. So, you know, you walk around at night, you find gallons of fucking white paint here and there, and, you know, found these big 5-gallon buckets one. So at that time I decided to fix it again, but I didn't run back there and do all them little colors in it. I just did it white that time. And after the 357, I didn't redo the 357. that time. And again, it lasted for about 3 years, and then the same people went and crossed it out again. Then the third time I did that spot, I actually did a big robot from, I got the idea from that Queen album, you know, the rock and roll group. We will rock you. Boom, boom, bah, boom, boom, bah. Well, anyway, I'm not a big Queen fan, you know, Freddie Mercury and stuff like that. I'm not into it. I mean, Brian May's a real good guitarist, but there's that one album that they did. It's called News of the World, I believe, or Breaking the World. News of the World, it is. That album cover, it's got like this big robot thing that's like breaking through a stadium, like grabbing all these little people. So I actually did that kind of a robot. My own version of it. It wasn't the same. Mine actually had like a crown, like metal on its head and stuff. I actually have the original drawing, and I have photos of that in storage. But what happened is I did this big fucking robot next to it. Like, bleh. I was going to make it, you know, it could stay next to the thing. Big fucking robot. If you ever Google that album, News of the World, something like that, it's basically like greenish. The background, he's breaking through like a stadium. He's like gray. Yeah, similar to that. But when I did the fucking thing, I did it with silver, like chrome and silver, spray paint. And when I did it, I woke up the next day in the morning. I got out of bed, I crossed the bridge, got up to where the East River is. I looked at it and I said, I don't like it. I took pictures of it. I said, I don't like it. Like a robot, like it's just too detailed to be viewed from that far away. You get me? Like you can tell it's a robot, but so much of the detail is lost because of the distance. You know what I mean? Like I really went in on that fucking thing, on the eyes and shit, and I felt like why bother? You know, I said, I don't like it. I got to think clearer, more graphic, more cartoon. You know, so I did Binky in the brain, but not the brain, I did Binky. Now when I'm doing Binky, the wall comes out like this, cement, real far, every 8 feet maybe, these big beams. So now when I did Binky originally, I had him sketched out. His ear was about 3 stories, 27 feet off the ground, almost 30 feet off the ground. And now him, that's when I was hanging from the rope on my weight belt, doing him. But what happened is I had them all sketched out. I run across the highway, I run up to York Avenue, I go to First Avenue, I go up onto the 59th Street Bridge, it's Queensboro Bridge, it's now called the Ed Koch Bridge. I run up and come over the East River and I look at it, and I say, you can't tell, because that piece of cement that comes out like this every 8 feet, it's right in front of them, so it looks kind of like half of them from the angle that I'm seeing it. So I said, nah, I got to bring that shit out further. So I ran back down off the bridge, First Avenue, down to York Avenue, ran across the highway, climbed over the fucking fence again, and I extended his belly way out, and I made his nose real big, just because of that one reason. And then I said, now he looks pregnant, and it don't look like Binky, but I'll take it. Fuck it, I like it. The ear, I made pink inside the ear, and on his nose was hot pink. Krylon hot pink. Now, the rest of it was just white. Flat black outline. Semi-flat black Krylon outline. And I did that one there. And that one lasted. Actually, before I did that one, this dude MQ did it. DMS. MQ, DMS did it. In between there. And all them people crossed that out too. And I just went right over that because his shit was all crossed out. And he didn't do it where it looked, it was nice, it was big. But I don't know, the Q was a little weird to me personally. It didn't look like a Q. It looked like MO. But, you know, like that thing, it just wasn't distinct enough to view from so far away. It didn't come out clear enough, that part. But, you know, MQ, he did his thing. You can't say nothing bad about it, you know. Then I did the rat. Yeah, I did the rat. That was actually over all that MQ. And like I said, MQ was already crossed out. And shit, 100 people went over him. The same people that went over me went over him. So then I did that. And it lasted a long fucking... Well, no, that's when the mayor came out and buffed it. Mayor Giuliani and them. They came out with the boat. And they buffed that. They buffed the one that was across from Governor Pataki's house. He lived in Sutton Place on 54th Street, right across the river on Roosevelt Island. We did a big RD and a big Baron. They buffed that shit, and that's the stuff that was all over the fucking news. Yeah, so they buffed it themselves. Then after that, no one's ever really, well, this girl, Anna, I know Anna, she actually went there and did a big, huge Anna there. Probably maybe 7 years ago, 5, 6 years ago. Yeah, she did a big, huge Anna there with like fire engine red bucket paint, like house paint. She did big Anna, as tall as the thing I did, just A-N-N-A, and then like an exclamation point. That was pretty cool. Other than that, no one's really fucked with that wall, not properly. Me, I did it 3 times, MQ did it once, and then Anna did it once, and no one else ever did it after that. You can't even do that no more. They actually cut out chunks of that fucking wall because they're building this boat ferry. You could go there and you could get on the boat and you could go across to Roosevelt Island, you could go to Long Island City, Queens, you could take that boat all the way up to Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, or you could take that boat all the way down to Brooklyn. It's almost like a subway. These boats they got on there, ferries, taxi ferry, waterways, I believe is the name of the company. Waterways, like water and ways, waterways. That's the name of that company that's doing that. That's what they're currently doing there right now. Maybe one day I'll go over there. I'll see if I can sneak in there. I know they got guards there now and everything. Last time I was trying to fuck around down there, which wasn't too long ago, a couple of months ago. I wasn't even fucking around. Gates are all wide open. I have a pit bull. You know, it's a nice little field where it's all dirt and mud and shit. You know, just throwing a stick in there. Like, hey, yo, get out of here. I'm like, come on, man, I'm just walking my fucking dog, yo. Like, get out of here. My dog started growling at them and shit. I said, come on, girl. And she came over, you know, and I got out of there. But I was really testing it to see if I could actually walk around back there. And no, they kicked me out. I'm going to put those pictures on, and that was fun. I enjoyed doing that. That was a good one. And that's about all I'm going to say for today. Today it's actually Thursday, the 29th of September. So, no, today's the 30th of September. So tomorrow will be October 1st. Yeah. Peace, people. This will be aired on October 1st. One more thing I want to add. That place behind the heliport was nicknamed the Punisher Wall. I didn't nickname it that. People from the neighborhood did it. They call it the Punisher Wall. Now, the reason it was called the Punisher Wall was because I painted the Punisher, Frank Castle, down there. The year the Punisher came out with his own comic book. Yes, I understand the Punisher's been around since 1974 and shit like that. He shot Spider-Man, he fucks around with Daredevil, but he was just a guest in comic books until he got his own comic book in 1987, and that's the year I painted that on the wall, the Punisher. It's next to an RD piece, and it's got a rat with a Band-Aid on his nose. I painted that down there. People started saying, yo, I'll meet you at the Punisher Wall. It was a hangout. Everyone from the neighborhood would go there, hang out and shit, you know, do drugs, drink, have sex, you know, whatever. They did. So now, this is pretty funny. Maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I was talking to someone online. They had no idea who I was or anything. So they started talking about RD and this and that, you know. So I'm interested in this conversation. So they start talking about the Punisher Wall. So I play stupid. I say, the Punisher Wall, what's that? It's like, yo, that's where RD takes people and punishes them and this and that. I'm thinking to myself, what? Who the fuck is this guy talking about? But that's, I guess, like that game, Telephone. They got a game called Telephone where one guy says something and then the next person adds something to it. Then the next person, you sit in a circle. And by the time it gets back to you, it's a whole different story. That's kind of like what happens over the years. But that place is called the Punisher Wall because I painted Frank Castle, the Punisher, on that wall the year the Punisher came out with his own comic book. Couldn't put it any more simple. A lot of people hung out down there. I've robbed a few people down there. I've robbed people who are actually going down there to cross shit out. I beat people up. I threw some of their personal belongings into the river. Yes, that's happened. But I never really was punishing people. If anything, I was just trying to not have people go down there and cross my shit out. Yeah, a lot of people from the neighborhood. Hey, what's up, people? Real quick, I just watched a video that's posted along with this, and it was the year 2000 that I went down to Jamaica. That's the year. Before 9/11. I was trying to think if it was before or after 9/11, when Rum had the golf bag filled with the watches. That was before 9/11, because 9/11 happened in 2001. There's that. Then, if you also notice and you're watching it, you might see it skip a little bit. That's because I took out one person's name and an organization, a group, a posse. This is down in Jamaica, and I removed that as well. I don't know the status of them. I feel as if I have no right to speak on that. So I removed it. I don't know if they're still active, if they're living or dead or what. So I also don't want to die. Those people don't fuck around. I'll tell you one thing about them. They might kill you in a heartbeat, but they don't lie. They speak the truth, man. That's one thing about that. Like, not a stocky motherfucker. A stocky meaning like a cokehead. You know, down there they call them stocky. You know, something like that. It's a drug addict, you know. But yeah, the dudes that are out there with cars and shit, dressing nice, yeah, they don't lie. They look at lying as a weakness. Like, if you're a liar, that's like one of the worst things you could be called down there, man, for real. They don't fuck around with that shit. Not that I was called a liar or I lied to anyone or anything, but I did see shit transpire in those areas, and the dude just is not around no more. Honestly, I don't know. He was hanging out, and all of a sudden he's not hanging out no more. You know? I got wind of it later on, and I'm like, wow, that's some shit. Down there in Jamaica, the West Indies, yeah. Yeah, definitely don't want to fuck around down there. But had a great time. I was living on MX3, actually, with Miss Pringle and Cuba. You could probably Google MX3. I painted some of the stadium. I painted a picture of Bob Marley, and I painted the Lion of Judah, real big. I made the lion look all like nasty looking, like his eye was all cataracts, and, you know, like an old lion, you know. Yeah, I think I did him cool. He was skinny, his ribs were exposed. Yeah, I didn't like it. People like, oh, that's a fucking lion. People love that shit, yeah. I lived right there. I watched some of the best fucking reggae stars out, man. Doing that, I seen City Cat. City Cat actually hung out for a couple of months down there. I was hanging out with him quite often. City Cat, Elephant Man, Beanie Man, all these fucking people. Sean Paul, when he came out with that shit, I was down there, yeah. I was there. Like, my balcony would be right over the stadium. At one point, I was actually living in the stadium. Like, in the stadium, there was one room, maybe the size of this room, where it used to be a soccer stadium, and they used to keep soccer equipment. But this point, it's actually just like a changing stage room for acts that perform, like reggae stars and shit, running there. They change their clothes to dancers and shit, you know? So it's pretty much like a fitting room or something like that for people that are about to go on stage. And I'd stay in there. But eventually, yeah, I got a room. My balcony was right over them, you know? When I was living down there, Miss Pringle, yeah. Good people, man. Cuba. Not Cuba from Uptown, Cuba TDS. That's my boy. I known him since junior high school, man. Yeah, there's a different Cuba. There's a Cuba, probably never been to New York or America a day in his life, man. And his sister's name is Miss Pringle. I lived with them for a while. Yeah. Peace. Yo, look at the pictures after this. It's the RD stuff I was talking about. Heliport, real big. Yeah. Hey, what's up, people? How's it going? Real quick, I just wanted to show you this. Remember I was talking about Kaba out in Staten Island, my man from Africa that died? I tell you, man, that dude was like a father to me, man. Yeah, just one thing I got that I keep and I cherish. He gave this to me on my birthday one day. Look at this thing. I think it's cool, right? Yeah, I love this fucking thing, man. Yeah, poor Kaba, man. He lived a good life, but I mean, he died. He was an old man. Shit, I don't think I'm going to make it to that age. Yeah, he was an old man, man. He was knocking boots. He was, you know, he had a younger wife and everything, man. He lived a good life, man. He was a good dude, man. I miss him, man. Kaba, man. All right.